honestly, it's been a lot of nonsense. I think in my 11-year career, I've never experienced the comments from the Indiana Fever fan base. We had her face on a serious matter that happened in this world, and it's unacceptable, honestly.
The Connecticut Sun have now been knocked out of the playoffs. It's probably worth updating everyone, since many likely haven't followed the game since Caitlin Clark left. Here's the news no one has. Thomas was quick to criticize Caitlin Clark and her supporters after Clark's victories, yet Thomas hasn't handled the teasing well following her own defeat.
Is Caitlin Clark currently the face of the WNBA? Yes. Do I think if A'ja Wilson dropped a shoe and Caitlin Clark dropped a shoe today at the very same time, that Caitlin Clark would outsell A'ja's shoe by 100 times? Yes, I think that would be the case.
Adding to the story, Alyssa Thomas hadn't scored over 10 points in any playoff game until the most crucial game of her career, where she delivered a 7-point performance. Throughout the game, Alyssa appeared visibly frustrated with her teammates. Both of these photos capture her showing negative body language, which didn't sit well with fans. One fan even commented they wouldn't want Alyssa Thomas on their team, noting her body language was poor the entire game. The standout photo from this matchup, however, was
they lost in the semifinals again. They lost in a game 5 again. They made it to the finals in 2022, but they have continually come up short. They have continually been a bridesmaid and never the bride. 4 of their 5 starters are free agents going into next season.
Marina Mabrey, DJ Carrington, and Alyssa Thomas were all pointing fingers at each other, even though they were the ones trying to get under Caitlin Clark's skin. Honestly, it's been a lot of chaos. In my 11-year career, I've never seen comments like those from the Indiana Fever fanbase. We were addressing a serious matter, and making it about this nonsense is unacceptable. To make matters worse, Alyssa Thomas was seen throwing a major tantrum at DJ Carrington while the team was trailing by 20 points. She only attempted 6 shots, grabbed just 2 rebounds, and was dominated on the other end by the Fever. It was a pitiful performance in an elimination game.
Thomas is one of the most quiet, woman of few words, does not mince her words, lets her game speak for herself type of people you will ever meet. I do think over the course of the year, the players have been saying something needs to stop. We need to show people who we are. We need the commissioner to speak on this, which the WNBA came for had a statement yesterday, but things just haven't been the way it needed to in sort of setting the tone, especially with this new influx of fans on what we stand for and what we don't. I think Caitlin has used her voice in the ways that she has tried to, but still, it's been falling.
Earlier in the season, Alyssa Thomas openly criticized Caitlin Clark's fanbase, labeling them as disrespectful and unruly. Thomas felt that the media attention and hype around Clark were excessive and believed the young guard still had a lot to prove in the WNBA. She didn't hesitate to share her opinion, arguing that Clark had been thrust into the spotlight too soon and that her fans were prematurely showering her with praise she hadn't yet earned. However, as the season went on, those comments came back to haunt Thomas. The tension between Thomas and Clark lingered all season, with Alyssa Thomas consistently downplaying Clark's steadily growing accomplishments.
Now, Elena Smith for 4 rebounds, that's probably on me. That's on me, I'll say that. But this right here, 7 points in an elimination game?
Alyssa Thomas and her supporters often dismissed Caitlin Clark's potential, seeming to relish any chance to knock down the rising star. Caitlin then witnessed DJ being aggressively fouled with no call made. Welcome to Clark's world. Thomas and her circle also mocked the idea that Clark could ever surpass Thomas in seasonal assists, at one point laughing and confidently joking that the young guard would never outdo her in that category. But, as fate would have it, events soon took an unexpected turn.
There are very, very few people, but there are some out there who resent the fact that this young white girl came out there and did her thing. Rookie of the year, 4th in the league for MVP voting, assist leader, one of the top leading scorers after the Olympic Games. She put on a show, validating all the attention she was receiving.
As the WNBA playoffs intensified, Connecticut's championship aspirations depended on the performance of its veteran leaders. To their credit, the Suns staged an impressive comeback after falling behind 2-0 in their series against the Minnesota Lynx. With their backs against the wall, they battled their way to a decisive Game 5, putting themselves just one win away from reaching the finals.
For the 2023 season, the WNBA had grown by 40% viewership from 2022 to 2023. But with Caitlin Clark's arrival, it's grown by 400% viewership. What that means is if the WNBA were continue to grow at the rate it grew from 22 to 23, it would take until 2028 to do what Caitlin Clark did this year.
When everything was on the line, the Suns' leader, Alyssa Thomas, faltered at what should have been her defining moment. She struggled throughout the game, missing critical shots, making questionable decisions, and ultimately failing to deliver the performance her team desperately needed. Under the bright lights, Thomas seemed to vanish. Her off night proved costly, ending the Suns' season in disappointment and placing the weight of the loss squarely on her shoulders. For a player who had spent so much time criticizing others, it was a bitter conclusion to what had once been a promising run.
There were a lot of people that laid the groundwork that deserve shine as well. Here's what we're going to do.
Are they playing now?
Here's what we're going to do.
Fans were understandably furious. This was supposed to be Connecticut's year. They had the talent, the experience, and all the momentum. The Sun had clawed their way back into the series, and many thought they were poised for a championship run. Instead, they watched in disbelief as their star, Alyssa Thomas, faltered when it mattered most. Connecticut's hopes unraveled as Thomas struggled to find her rhythm, and the team's playoff dreams slipped further away. The tension wasn't just on the scoreboard. During a critical timeout, with the Sun down by 20 points, Alyssa Thomas was seen in a heated argument with DJ Carrington. These teammates, who had spent much of the season mocking Caitlin Clark, were now turning on each other as their season unraveled. Meanwhile, from the comfort of her home, Caitlin Clark was watching it all unfold. The same Clark who had been ridiculed by Thomas and Carrington for months, and whom they claimed would never surpass Thomas, had now broken the season assist record. Clark didn't just meet expectations, she shattered them, all while observing her critics crumble. The Connecticut Sun, led by Alyssa Thomas, were expected to contend for the WNBA title, but faltered in a decisive Game 5 against the Minnesota Lynx. Thomas struggled under pressure, missing key shots and making poor decisions, while tensions with DJ Carrington erupted on the court. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark, previously ridiculed by Thomas and others, shattered records and watched her critics crumble from home. Her performance drew massive viewership and energized the league, proving she is both the present and future of the WNBA. The contrast between Thomas's collapse and Clark's dominance highlighted the season's drama. As the Suns' season ended in disappointment, Clark enjoyed the ultimate last laugh.